Good day and welcome to One-on-One Maths Private Tutors. Today we are looking at O-Level and IGCSE Biology for Combined Science and Pure Biology. The topic is respiration. Respiration is the chemical reactions in all living cells that release energy from glucose. There are two types of respiration. We have aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Let's look at aerobic respiration. When we burn a fuel such as petrol, oxygen is used up and carbon dioxide is made. The flame gives off a lot of light and heat or thermal energy. Every cell in every living organism needs energy. A fuel used to provide energy in the cells is called glucose. But unlike burning petrol, the energy is released very gradually in a series of small enzyme-controlled reactions. Respiration involves a number of chemical reactions that break down nutrient molecules, such as glucose, in living cells to release energy. In aerobic respiration, oxygen is used in the breakdown of glucose. So the formula is glucose plus oxygen to give carbon dioxide and water and energy. If we look carefully at this formula, this is the reverse of photosynthesis. Because for photosynthesis, we start with water and carbon dioxide to give us glucose and oxygen, which are the inputs of respiration. So the inputs of respiration are the products of photosynthesis. The products of respiration, carbon dioxide and water, are the inputs of photosynthesis. And the energy we use comes from sunlight. So energy from sunlight can be considered as an input in photosynthesis, and energy is an output in respiration. Cells also respire fats and proteins to provide energy. But in this study, we'll only look on the respiration of glucose, which is a carbohydrate. Using energy. Organisms need energy for many different things. Energy is used in humans for the following processes: muscle contraction for movement, cell division for growth and reproduction, absorption of nutrients in the gut by active transport, which requires energy, sending nerve impulses, protein synthesis for making enzymes, hormones, and antibodies, making new cell membranes and cell structures like the nucleus during growth, keeping the body temperature constant, since some of the energy released is in the form of heat. Respiration takes place in all living cells, be it plants or animals, and it takes place all the time because cells need a constant supply of energy to stay alive. The balanced chemical equation of aerobic respiration is C6H12O6, which is the formula for glucose, plus 6O2, which means 6 oxygen molecules, to give us 6 carbon dioxide molecules, plus 6 water molecules, plus energy. So this is the balanced chemical equation for respiration. Most of the energy released in aerobic respiration is released in mitochondria. Cells that require a lot of energy have many mitochondria. For instance, insect flight mussels has numerous mitochondria located between the muscle fibers. The mitochondria provide the energy for the muscles to contract during flight. Liver cells have a high metabolism and have many mitochondria. Epithelial cells in the small intestines absorb glucose and other molecules by active transport, so they too have large numbers of mitochondria. So key points are: in aerobic respiration, glucose is broken down to release energy in the presence of oxygen. So oxygen is an important ingredient for aerobic respiration. This reaction releases carbon dioxide and water. Respiration involves the action of enzymes to catalyze reactions in cells. And the word equation for aerobic respiration is glucose plus oxygen to give us carbon dioxide and water. The balanced chemical equation for respiration is 1 glucose molecule plus 6 oxygen molecules to give us 6 carbon dioxide molecules and 6 water molecules. Now we look at anaerobic respiration. Your muscles need oxygen and glucose to respire aerobically. These substances are brought to your muscles by your blood system. During vigorous exercise, your heart and lungs cannot get enough oxygen to your muscles quickly enough. When this happens, your muscles start to carry out anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. It is possible to release energy from glucose without using oxygen. Anaerobic respiration is the release of a little energy from each molecule of glucose in the absence of oxygen. So, anaerobic respiration releases a little energy compared to aerobic respiration. During strenuous exercise, not enough oxygen reaches the body muscles for aerobic respiration to supply all the energy the muscles need. Muscle tissue respire anaerobically to release energy. Most of the enzyme catalyzed reactions of aerobic respiration do not happen without oxygen. As a result, the glucose is not broken down to carbon dioxide and water, but to lactic acid instead. So in anaerobic respiration, glucose is converted to lactic acid and a little energy is released. Other tissues, such as cardiac muscles in the heart, do not normally respire anaerobically, as this would not release enough energy to keep the heart beating properly. Some bacteria also respire anaerobically to make lactic acid in the same way. For example, those that we use to make yogurt. Microorganisms such as yeast respire anaerobically when oxygen is absent or in short supply in their surroundings to make alcohol and carbon dioxide. So this is the equation for anaerobic respiration of yeast. Glucose is converted into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and energy is released. And this is the balanced chemical equation for the anaerobic respiration of glucose in yeast. One glucose molecule will release 2 molecules of ethanol, which is an alcohol, and 2 molecules of carbon dioxide, releasing energy in the process. So respiration is an exothermic reaction. Plant roots respire anaerobically when land is flooded and soils become saturated with water, so little or no oxygen is available. far less energy is released from each molecule of glucose in anaerobic respiration compared to aerobic respiration. This is because glucose is not completely broken down, and a lot of energy remains stored in lactic acid and in alcohol in the form of chemical bond energy. This can be seen if you set alcohol alight, it will burn, releasing more energy. The table compares energy released in different types of respiration. In aerobic respiration, 1 gram of glucose releases 16.1 kilojoules of energy. Fermentation by yeast, which is anaerobic, releases 1.2 kilojoules of energy in 1 gram of glucose. Anaerobic respiration in muscle tissue releases 0.8 kilojoules of energy for every gram of glucose. Let's look at lactic acid. Lactic acid can slowly poison muscles and cause cramps, so it must be removed from the body. The build-up of lactic acid in the muscles and blood during vigorous exercise causes the oxygen debt. Our oxygen debt builds up when we exercise hard, and it has to be paid back straight away. We carry on breathing faster and deeper after vigorous exercise in order to supply more oxygen for aerobic respiration to break down the lactic acid. Oxygen debt is removed during recovery by aerobic respiration of lactic acid in the liver. So lactic acid can only be aerobically respired in the liver. After exercise, the heart continues to beat at a faster rate in order to transport lactic acid in the blood from the muscles to the liver. Sprinters build up lactic acid in their muscles. They often hold their breath during a 100-meter race. Afterwards, they need about 7 cubic decimeters of oxygen to get rid of the lactic acid. This is why they breathe deeply after the race in order to repay their oxygen debt. The enzyme catalyzes the reactions that release most of the energy in aerobic respiration occur in mitochondria. These cell structures do not function without a supply of oxygen. During anaerobic respiration, glucose is partly broken down in the cytoplasm and alcohol or lactic acid is produced from the end product of this partial breakdown. So our key points are: anaerobic respiration is the chemical reaction in cells that breaks down glucose to release energy without using oxygen. In anaerobic respiration, glucose is broken down to release energy in the absence of oxygen, forming lactic acid in muscle tissue or alcohol and carbon dioxide in yeast and plants. Far more energy is released from each molecule of glucose in aerobic respiration than in anaerobic respiration. The build-up of lactic acid in muscles during hard exercise produces an oxygen debt that has to be paid back by breathing in extra oxygen. With that, we come to the end of the section. Thank you.